So, good morning, everyone. This is Ra'ad al-Sheikh presenting Zimbra today for you. So, today we'll be talking about Zimbra, the collaboration edition, as opposed to the open source version, and we'll see the differences between the two versions and the two offerings. A bit of our company first. Open Source Solutions was founded in 2004, and since then we focus on open source solutions only. So we provide support for Linux-based solutions. Zimbra is one of them, and this is the main presentation of today. We are also partners with Red Hat, Oracle Linux, SUSE Linux, and probably any other open source package in the infrastructure layer that you may think of, like in the monitoring infrastructure and cybersecurity, open source based cybersecurity solutions, and so on. What we do is basically we build and configure Linux-based servers and Linux-based solutions, mainly in the infrastructure side. For example, the email services based on Zimbra, monitoring services based on Nagios, Xenos, or Zabbix, or other solutions. Our team mostly or all they are certified. They are either Linux certified, monitoring certified. Some of them are Red Hat certified engineers. Others are Red Hat certified architects as well. So moving on, probably you have already made a great decision to work with Zimbra using the open source version, and because of so many reasons, one of which is the easy to maintain as a package, and it's based on the open source internet standards to communicate to other, let's say, email servers or email alternatives. Just simply because it's the same protocol that it can communicate with all other alternatives. It's really rich in features and user experience, and this is what we'll see in this presentation today, starting from the next slide. It's easy to integrate and easy to extend, as we will see later in the next slides. For example, communicating with LDAP, communicating with Microsoft packages, integration with Office, and so on and so forth, as we'll see later. So moving on, Zimbra really understands the criticality of the email infrastructure in your company. Most of the companies, they share the same criticality. For example, business continuity. They need to be connected 24/7 with almost zero downtime. At the same time, operationally, you want to have a real efficient storage management. So you don't want to keep adding emails and keep storing and never delete anything. Security nowadays is a very, very important aspect. So you want all the security integrations, antivirus, two-factor authentication, and this is what we'll cover in this presentation. Compliance is another one, to be compliant with your audits and security assessments, and we'll cover that as well. And autonomous management. You don't want to spend like 70% or 80% of your work just managing the solution. You don't want to have like a cheap solution in price, but you spend off your money doing the overhead of operations. So you have to have a balance between that, and we will have this presented in the slides. So this is the main or the core features of Zimbra. We'll start now with the slides. So this is feature number one when we compare the open source version to the collaboration suite, which is basically the backup. So backup feature is already integrated in the Network Edition and in the Zimbra Suite Plus. So it's one solution. You don't need to buy a third-party backup solution in order to backup your, for example, your mailboxes. And it's not only that. It's the level of backups are more than one. For example, you can have a complete backup for your solution and your mailboxes. Like with a simple click, you back up everything that you have in Zimbra. Or you can go down to the mailbox of a single account. So for example, you want to restore a mailbox for employee 1. So you can just go down, instead of restoring the whole backup, you just go back and restore a single account for a single employee, for example. And in between, you have all other levels of backups. So you can have for a group of employees, for a single employee, or for a complete solution. Moving on, which is another important feature in Zimbra, the collaboration suite, which is the connector. So some customers, they come and say, well, okay, we really like Zimbra, but the thing is our end users are used to the Outlook, the look and feel of Outlook. So they really don't want to change the experience on them. Yes, we provide that. So this feature is there in the Network Edition. So basically what you are changing is only the backend or the Zimbra server. But to the public, to the end user, it will continue to be the same. So they will have the same Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, connecting to the Zimbra server. So nothing changes on the experience at all. And no features are lost. So they will have the calendar as well. They will have the contacts. They will have the folders. They will have the tasks. So no single feature is lost to the customer or to the end user. Moving on, which is basically Zimbra Mobile, which is a very, very important feature nowadays. Basically, it will allow you to mobilize. So you can have the look and feel on your cell phone. You can send emails. You can connect using any mobile client email service to your Zimbra server. And you'll have all the features in there. And this is offered in the Network Edition and as well as the Open Source Edition in the Zimbra Suite Plus. Moving on with features, Zimbra Docs. This is lovely. Basically, there is a complete Office-like feature in the Zimbra Professional Edition and the Network Edition. This feature allows you to edit your documents live within the solution. So you don't need third-party solutions to edit documents. You don't need to export or import documents. For example, if you have a .docs document or .ppt, it's a presentation, or .xml or .xls for Excel sheets. So basically, you can edit the document live and share it between employees with no need of any third-party solution to do this. Moving on with Zimbra Connect. So as we said, basically Zimbra is a complete ecosystem, and it's not an email server only. And with Zimbra Connect, it gives you the feature of having audio-video communication with your employees. So anyone with Zimbra backend using the Zimbra web client, you can initiate a one-to-one call or group calls, group chats. You can have one-to-one video and audio or group video and audio. You can have file sharing and also screen sharing. So if you go with another solution, probably you need like 4 or 5 packages to do this. One for remote sharing, remote desktop, one for file sharing, one for audio video chat, and so on. So you can have all of this in just one solution, one integrated solution. Just one installation, one server, and you'll have all these features enabled. Moving on with the features. So at the beginning, we talked about storage efficiency, and it's very, very important because storage is expensive. With Zimbra, you can have the HSM, the Hierarchical Storage Manager. What this feature gives you is that the most recent files that you have in the server, they'll be kept online, while the outdated files, you can push them or automatically will be pushed to the cheaper storage tier. For example, you can have the recent emails stored, for example, for 14 days or 30 days in the server itself. Those emails and files that are less critical, that they are not accessed within the 30 days, they will be pushed automatically, for example, to tapes, which is way less expensive than online storage, and so on and so forth. So in this case, you can have only the 20% of your files stored in your server, while the 80% of the files are automatically pushed into the less expensive storages, for example, HDDs or tapes. And if needed, if these files are needed, they will be retrieved directly from HSM, from these tapes, or from these, let's say, less expensive hard disks back online. So this process of HSM is automatically managed by Zimbra Suite. You don't need third-party tools to do this. Moving on with Zimbra. So we mentioned that Zimbra is based on the standard protocols. We are not inventing or reinventing protocols, so to make it harder to communicate with other solutions. So one of the protocols that we use, which is the MIME, which is a standard protocol, and Zimbra is based on that for signing and encrypting emails. The other feature that's very important, and you don't need third-party tools to do this, basically because it's already integrated and it comes with Zimbra Suite, is the two-factor authentication. So you can enable out-of-the-box two-factor authentication, and it works perfectly. And it's being offered in the Network Edition and also the Open Source Edition. Moving on, archive and recovery. And this is a very important feature. So usually this feature helps system administrators, if they want to do compliance on some of the emails. So they can have a sweep, and they can scan the email. They can, not the email text, but let's say the headers and some metadata that's needed for compliance. So they can do that, and they can have signatures of the emails being scanned. Moving on, and this is a very important feature, especially for large deployment and enterprises. So in large enterprises, basically, you don't have one single administrator for the solution. You want some sort of delegations. So you have the admin of the admins, as for example, in one group, and you want to delegate the daily operations to another group. You want to delegate security and compliance to a third group. You want to delegate, for example, the document sharing for a fourth group, and so on and so forth. So with this feature, and again, you don't need third-party solution, but what is more, you can integrate it with your Active Directory to have this sort of grouping and accounts. So you have one set of Active Directory users being the admins, another set of Active Directory users to be the sub-admins to do certain tasks. So we can distribute tasks between people. So with all of these features we discussed, so Zimbra is having an offering until the end of the year, and basically the offering is to have 15% discount on the first year of subscription, and it can go up to 20% for 2-year subscription. And there is no minimal order, so you can go down to, for example, as low as 50 accounts. So as small as like one single server with 50 accounts, and you are eligible for these discounts. And this offering is for the Zimbra Open Source Edition. And as said, it will be until December 20th, almost end of the year, for your bookings. With that, I conclude my presentation, and you can always visit us at www.zimbra.com, or you can contact us directly as a Zimbra partner, and we will be answering all of your questions. Thank you very much for listening.